a GP, then B squared equals AC. Hermione.
It's false. It's
oh no. Well, we always do with what we hear first. Opoku, your statement. Nuclear fusion releases more energy than nuclear fission. Paul.
It's true.
That is correct. Wesley girls, energy transfer from a producer to a primary consumer is about 50% efficient. Hermione.
It's false.
That is correct. Opoku secondary, the color of silver iodide is yellow. The color of silver iodide is yellow. Paul.
It's true.
That is correct. Wesley girls, conversion of water to steam is an exothermic process. Water to steam, exothermic process. Hermione, that is correct. That is correct. Opoku, your final statement is A, B, C are subtractive terms of an AP, then B is the arithmetic mean of A and C. Vincent?
It's true.
That is correct. Wesley girls, an inorganic salt which on heating with concentrated H2SO4 gives off a mixture of white and brown fumes may contain the bromide ion. Hermione.
It's true.
And that is correct. And that US brings us to the end of round 5. Let's hear the scores at the end of the contest. Wesley Girls has 92 points. Opoku Secondary has 95 points. I'm sure you will agree that the ladies gave you a tough time. Indeed, you're not, but you were not disgraced. You were very impressive. Thank you for coming onto the program. We hope to see you next year. Congratulations to Opoku Secondary. You've made it to the quarterfinals, and I look forward to seeing you then. Next week, viewers, the competition will be between Vincent Secondary School and Tamale Secondary School. Make a date with us and we'll be here. Bye. You're welcome. As a general rule, any one of you may answer a question posed to your school. Please remember that a major question may be attempted 3 times only before the bell unless otherwise stated. You may attempt a bonus question only once. In most cases, a bonus question earns you a point and a major question earns you 3 points, that is if you answered correctly. In round 1, you have 15 seconds within which to give me an answer. We'll start with you, Tamale Secondary. Find the general term of the sequence 2, 5, 8, 11, and so on. The general term of the sequence. Osman.
3m plus 1.
It's not 3n plus 1. Hamza.
2 plus 3.
No. Yes, Osman.
3m minus 1.
That is correct. Opoku Secondary, find the general term of the sequence 2, 6, 18, 54, and so on. Vincent.
2 over 3 into bracket 3 power n.
I won't take 2 over 3 into brackets. Yes, Vincent, Paul.
2 times 3 power n minus 1.
That is correct. And there's a convention for these things, Vincent, so you keep to the convention. Tamale secondary, your question. What is the parent name of an alkane with a longest chain of 14 carbons? Hamza. That is correct. That is correct. Opoku secondary, what is the parent name of an alkane with the longest chain of 20 carbons? Aubrey. Icosane is correct. What is a thermostat? What is a thermostat? Hamza.
It's a device which controls the temperature in electrical devices. Or which controls that regulates the amount of temperature in an electrical device.
I'll give you 2. It is a device in electrical heating gadgets which automatically closes or opens the electrical circuit to regulate the amount of heat produced, and that would regulate the temperature. Opoku, your question, what is a fuse? What is a fuse? Vincent.
A fuse is an electrical device that has got a low melting point and which is able to automatically cut off the supply of current when the amount of current produced is too high.
That is correct. And it's normally a thin piece of wire. Tamale secondary, what is the study of fungi called? Hamza.
Entomology.
Oh, not entomology. Entomology is the study of insects. Paul.
Mycology.
Mycology is correct. Mycology is correct. What is the study of blood called? Study of blood. Vincent.
Hemology.
Not hemology. I won't take hemology. Yes, Aubrey.
Hemocology.
Hemocology. No, no, no. No. For bonus, Hamza.
Hematology.
Hematology. Perform the given multiplication in the modulo indicated. Perform the given multiplication in the modulo indicated. Tamale secondary, 15 times 17 modulo 8. Hamza.
5.
Not 5. Osman.
4.
Not 4. Hamza.
6.
I'm sorry, and you've had your 3 chances. For a bonus, Vincent.
7.
7 is correct. 7 is correct. For Pokuwari, 18 times 27 modulo 13. Vincent.
1.
Not 1. 18 times 27. 18 times 27 modulo 18. Paul.
11.
Not 11. Not 11. Yes.
5.
5 is correct. 5 is correct. Tamale secondary. Explain why the radius of K plus is less than that of a neutral atom K. Majid.
This is because the K plus it ionizes to give us 1 electron. So the Sheldon effect therefore increases because the number of electrons decreases. Increases. The Sheldon effect decreases because the number of electrons against the nuclear charge is more. So the attraction on the outermost shell is greater. So the volume will decrease as compared to.
That is correct. Opoku Ware Secondary, explain why the atomic radius of Cl- ion is expected to be larger than that of the neutral atom Cl. Paul?
This is because there are now more electrons. And this means that there will be a repulsion between the electrons, leading to an increase in the size of the atom.
I'll give you the mark. There'll be the repulsion between the electrons, and of course the attraction will be lower because now you have more electrons. Your question, Tamale Secondary, what are eddy currents? Yeah, Majid.
They are currents that are produced as a result of induced EMF.
Again.
They are currents that are produced as a result of induced EMF.
And what causes the induced EMF?
This is a change in magnetic flux.
And that is correct. Yeah, they are the circulating currents induced in a conductor as a result of the changing magnetic flux. Opoku Ware Secondary, your question. What is a mutual, or what is mutual induction? Aubrey.
This is a phenomenon whereby current flowing through a coil induces an EMF, which also induces another EMF in another coil.
In another coil?
Yeah. Close, which is placed near it.
Which is where?
Which is placed near the first coil.
Is it in contact with it or not in contact?
Not in contact.
I'll give you the full marks. So to state it clearly, it is a process whereby a changing current in one conductor induces an EMF in another conductor which is not in contact with the first. Last two questions of round one. Tamale Secondary, your question. Distinguish between anemometer and anemophilus or anemophilus.
Anemometer is an instrument used to measure the speed of wind, whilst the anemophilus is a wind-pollinated flower.
That is correct. Opoku Ware, distinguish between a food chain and a food web. Vincent.
A food chain is a feeding relationship between many feeding organisms. However, within a food web, you have organisms from different food chains feeding on the same substrate.
Vincent, I won't take that. Paul.
In other words, a food web is a combination of many food chains. A food chain is a feeding relationship whereby energy is transferred from one organism to the other, while a food web is a combination of many food chains where organisms feed organisms from various food chains feed on organisms.
I'll give you the mark. It's quite a difficult thing to express when you have to distinguish between the two. Fine, the food chain is the feeding relationship in which energy is transferred from the producer or the green plant to other organisms through a sequence of other organisms where you have one organism feeding on the preceding one. Whereas a food web is a more complex feeding relationship made up of interconnected food chains. So the ideas are there, but it's quite difficult to express. On that note, we come to the end of round one. At the end of the round, Tamale Secondary has 18 points, Opoku Ware Secondary has 23 points. In this round, most of the questions are applied in nature, and you do a lot of explanations. You're just testing how much you understand the science that you study. And of course, how you apply your maths in solving practical questions. You have 15 seconds within which to give me an answer, and for questions involving calculation, you have 30 seconds. Opoku Ware, please listen. A student thrills his fellow students with a simple experiment. He completely fills a glass with water, covers its mouth with a stiff card, and inverts it. His colleagues are thrilled to see that the card sticks to the mouth of the glass and does not drop. Why does the card not follow? Why does the card not follow? Aubrey.
when the beaker is filled with water, it displaces air in the beaker, which makes the pressure in the beaker less than the atmospheric pressure. So when he tells us the atmospheric pressure is able to press against the cardboard, keeping it in place.
That is correct. Tamale Secondary, another student believing that if the stiff card has been able to hold water in a glass, it should be able to hold air, which is much lighter than water, covers the mouth of an empty glass with a stiff card and inverts the glass. To his surprise, the card falls down. He wonders why this should be so. Can you explain to him why? Majid.
This is because the pressure inside the glass tumbler is greater than the atmospheric pressure. So therefore, the pressure pushes the card outwards.
Majid, that's not true. Hamza.
The air in the glass makes the atmospheric pressure there high. So when it puts the card on the glass and inverts it, the air inside will like to come out, will force the glass, the cardboard to come out then.
For bonus, Vincent.
This is because the air within the beaker is the pressure within the air in the beaker is exactly equal to the external atmospheric pressure, and the two equalize each other, and the cardboard will fall under its own weight.
That is correct. That is correct. Cardboard falls under its own weight because the two pressures cancel out. Your major question, Opoku, Ware. The average of 5 numbers is 17, and the average of 4 of the numbers is 19. Find the 5th number. Vincent.
9.
9 is correct. Secondary, the average of 10 numbers is 18, and the average of 8 of the numbers is 16. If the 2 remaining numbers differ by 2, find the 2 numbers. Yes.
19 and 21.
What?
19 and 21.
No, not 19 and 21. Yes, Paul.
25 and 27.
That is correct. 25 and 27. Your question, Opoku, Ware. Explain why CO2 with a molar mass of 44 is more volatile than H2O with molar mass of 18. Vincent.
This is because the CO2 possesses both pi and sigma bonds. However, the water contains very strong hydrogen bonds, and hence the energy required to break it to convert it to the gaseous state is relatively higher than that for the carbon dioxide.
I'll give you the math. And again, CO2 is linear, all right? It doesn't have the hydrogen bonding you find in water, and of course it is linear, so the dipoles cancel out. Tamale Secondary, what are the shapes of oxygen and ozone molecules? What are the shapes of oxygen and ozone molecules? Yes, Osman.
Oxygen is linear and ozone is trigonal.
Ozone is what?
Trigonal.
Ozone is not trigonal.
Trigonal planar.
That is not true. Ozone is not trigonal. Hamza?
Oxygen is linear and ozone is V-shaped.
That is correct. Even though the overall reaction in respiration appears to be opposite that of photosynthesis, respiration cannot be regarded as opposite of photosynthesis. Why? Paul.
In respiration, energy is released due to the oxidation of food substances. And some of this energy is wasted. But
Paul, it's nothing like that. Vincent.
Okay, this is because in photosynthesis, it involves the synthesis of many organic substances, and energy is stored solar energy is stored in the form of chemical energy in the food substance. Respiration, also in respiration, energy is liberated. So in both cases, and does not involve light.
No. You know, I've already said that the overall reaction in respiration appears to be opposite that of photosynthesis. Meanwhile, we cannot regard them as opposite. Why? For a bonus, Tamale secondary. For a bonus. Okay, it's because the intermediate steps in the two processes are different, and also the enzymes that catalyze those reactions are different. So you cannot consider one to be the opposite of the other. Your question, Tamale secondary, fermentation is regarded as a less efficient means of producing energy than aerobic respiration. Why?
Because with aerobic respiration involves the total breakdown of the food to release the maximum amount of energy needed. But with fermentation, only a part of the energy is released.
Why?
Because that undergo complete oxidation.
It doesn't
Undergo complete oxidation.
I'll give you the mark. I'll give you the mark. Yeah, in fermentation you don't have complete breakdown, and you have still some complex substances like alcohol, which can be further broken down to release more energy. Opoku, Ware, your question. One major headache of a housewife when preparing palm soup is the nuisance caused by the soup spilling over when boiling. She has to keep a constant watch and stir the soup to prevent it from spilling. Why does palm nut soup have this peculiar property? Vincent.
This is because palm nut soup contains water in addition to the oil, and hence when the water boils, the water within it boils, because the oil is less dense than the water boils and causes the oil at the surface to spill over due to the formation of bubbles in the water body below the palm oil.
I'll give you 2 out of 3. Because you forgot to say that that skin of oil or the oily film settles on the surface of the soup. So it traps your steam in there. So it's when the steam bubbles want to escape, they then push the skin upwards and cause it to spill. Okay? Tamale secondary, simply washing with water does not remove oil and other dirt particles from our bodies, clothes, and utensils. How does soap help remove these? Hamza.
That is made up of grease with dust particles held to it. So with the soap has got an ionic part and the hydrophobic part. The hydrophobic part is soluble in the grease, while the ionic part is soluble in the water. So when you apply the soap, the hydrophobic part will enable you to dissolve the grease, thereby releasing the dirt into the water.
I'll give you the full mark. Opoku, Ware secondary, and before your question, there's a preamble. Please listen attentively. The probability that a seed from a certain packet of seeds will produce white flowers is 2/5. The probability that a seed from a certain packet of seeds will produce white flowers is 2/5. Opoku, Ware, find the probability that 2 seeds from this packet will both produce white flowers. Vincent.
4/25.
That is correct. Tamale secondary, find the probability that neither of the 2 seeds from this packet will produce white flowers. Hamza.
9/25.
That is correct. Opoku, Ware, what kind of forces hold the 2 strands of the DNA? Aubrey.
Hydrogen bonding.
What type of hydrogen bonding?
Intramolecular hydrogen bonding.
I'll give you 2 out of 3.
Strong.
2 out of 3, because if it's not one, it's the other, my dear. It is intermolecular hydrogen bonding. So I'll give you 2 out of 3. Tamale secondary, what kind of forces help to maintain a polypeptide in the alpha helix form? What kind of forces help to maintain a polypeptide in the alpha helix form? Hamza.
Intermolecular hydrogen bonding.
And you also get 2 out of 3 because it is intramolecular hydrogen bonding, intramolecular hydrogen bonding. The last two questions of round 2. What method would you use to estimate the size of a population of weevils in a packet of flour? Yes, Vincent.
By the use of the puta.
Use of what?
The puta.
Puta. No. What method would you use? Yes, Paul.
Capture, mark, release, recapture method.
That is correct. Release recapture method. Now, Tamale Secondary, using the capture, mark, release, recapture method, a student captured 60 weevils in his first sample and 50 weevils in his second sample. If the number of marked weevils recaptured was 4, what was the total population of weevils in the packet of flour? Hamza?
75.
It's not 75. Watch it. It's not 75. Yes, Osman?
750.
750 is correct. And that brings us to the end of round 2. Viewers, at the end of round 2, here are the scores. Tamale Secondary has 35 points. Opoku Ware Secondary has 44 points. Let's see if our colleagues from Tamale can catch up with those from Opoku Ware. We'll move on to round 3, the problem of the day. In this round, you're posed with the same question or the same problem, and you have 3 minutes within which to solve the problem, after which a contestant each from the schools would go to the board to present your solutions. Please turn over the sheets in front of you, and I'll read. A car of mass 125 kilograms is speeding at 200 meters per second. The driver suddenly spots a roadblock 125 meters away and applies the brakes. If the frictional force between the road and the tires is 2,000 newtons, what is the minimum braking force the driver must apply to just avoid hitting the roadblock? And that is the problem of the day. Welcome back, viewers. Let's now see how our contestants solve the problem of the day. Thank you for those solutions, contestants. We'll now go through what I have, and then we'll award marks based on how you fared. I have here a diagram that tries to present the problem graphically. So we have the car moving towards the roadblock, which is 125 meters away, and it would have to decelerate. Its direction of motion is shown, so deceleration will be in the opposite direction. The braking force and the frictional force will all be in the opposite direction to the direction of motion. So now we understand what is happening. We are to find the minimum braking force the driver must apply to just avoid hitting the roadblock. So we say let initial velocity be u, and is equal to 200 meters per second. Final velocity v is 0 meters per second. The distance traveled is 125 meters, and a, of course, is acceleration. So from the equation v squared equals u squared plus 2as, we have 0 squared equals 200 squared plus 2a times 125, and a is minus 4,000 over 250, which is minus 160 meters per second squared. Now, if you have your a to be minus 160, then your deceleration should be 160 meters per second squared. Now, let F be the minimum braking force. Then the total force acting on the car is F plus 2,000 newtons. That is F plus your frictional force. Therefore, F plus 2,000 newtons equals mass times deceleration, because we tried to show you the directions in which the various forces were acting. So if you're adding up your braking force plus your frictional force, it has to be equal to the mass times the deceleration. And therefore, F plus 2,000 newtons is 125 kilograms times 160 meters per second squared, which gives you 20,000 newtons. The minimum braking force F, therefore, is 20,000 minus 2,000, which is 18,000 newtons. Let's now look at the solutions from our contestants. We'll start with the solution from Tamale Secondary. They had everything right. They stated clearly that U was their initial velocity, V was their final velocity, their distance was 125 meters. Everything was stated out clearly. Now, they decided to work with acceleration, which is negative 160 meters per second squared. But of course, they realized that F minus the frictional force should then be equal to negative mass times acceleration, which then is mass times deceleration. And so they end up with 18,000 newtons or 18 kilonewtons, which we were expecting from them. And for that effort, they get 10 out of 10. And of course, when we get to these stages of the contest, every step counts. And immediately you notice the problem with Opoku Ware's solution, which is the non-definition of variables. I have to decide what is v squared, what is u squared, and those are all very important. But well, let's go through their solution. They got A to be minus 160 meters per second squared, and so MA, which is the force, the total force, is minus 20,000 newtons. It's supposed to be positive 20,000 newtons. When they got to working out the minimum force, automatically it became a positive 20,000 minus 2,000. But they didn't show how the negative 20,000 newtons ended up being 20,000 newtons. So you have to state to us that you're using, it's a braking force, so it's in the opposite direction, all right? So they also got the 18,000 newtons, but clarity of, there wasn't much clarity in what they were doing. And for that, I deducted 1 mark, just 1 mark, very generous. So they get 9 out of 10. Right, we come to the end of round 3, we'll move on to round 4. Most of the questions, as usual, involve calculations, so you have 30 seconds within which to give me an answer. In a few cases where questions do not involve calculation, you will have 15 seconds within which to give me an answer. There's a common preamble. A cyclist races around a circular track of radius 20 meters with an angular velocity of 2.5 radians per second. The total mass of the cyclist and his motorcycle is 50 kilograms. Majid,
2,500.
that is correct. 2,500 kilogram meter per second, please, your unit. 2,500 kilogram meters per second. Opoku, Ware, calculate the centripetal force on the cyclist. Centripetal force on the cyclist. Vincent.
62,500.
It's not 62,500. Watch it. Watch it. Yes.
6,000. 6,500.
6,250 newtons. 6,250 newtons. Your question, Tamale Secondary. If two structures in two different organisms are said to be homologous, what does this mean? What does this mean? Yes, Hamza.
It means they are similar in structure.
Doesn't mean they are similar in structure. They are said to be homologous. What does it mean? Majid.
They are located in the same vicinity, but in the same locus.
That is not true. Paul, for a bonus.
They are inherited from a common ancestor and they perform different functions.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, they originated from the same evolutionary ancestor, or they have the same evolutionary origin, but have developed different functions. Your question, Opoku, Ware Secondary, in birds, the female is a heterogametic sex. What does this mean? Vincent.
This means that it consists of two different chromosomes.
What consists of two different chromosomes?
Their gametes consist of two different chromosomes.
Yes, Paul, do you want to do better?
That means the sex chromosomes of the female are different. That is the
I'll
X
just
chromosome.
give you the mark. I'll just give you the mark. It means that it's the female that has two different reproductive cells or gametes, whereas the male has just one. In the case of humans, it's the other way round. Tamale Secondary, your question. Kweku takes twice as long as Kofi to do a piece of work. If they work together, they take 6 hours to do the same job. How long will Kofi take to do the work alone? Osman.
8 hours.
Not 8 hours, not 8 hours. Yes, Osman.
10 hours.
Please, not 10 hours. You have one last chance, Hamza.
4 hours.
I'm sorry for a bonus, Opoku, Ware Secondary. Aubrey?
9 hours.
9 hours is correct. Your major question, Opoku, Ware. Peter and Paul take 8 hours to weed a field. Paul alone takes 12 hours to weed the field. How long will Peter take to weed the field? Vincent?
24 hours.
24 hours is correct. When 5.6 grams of a metal oxide is reduced, 4 grams of the metal with atomic mass 80 is obtained. Determine the empirical formula of the oxide. Hamza?
MO2.
MO2 is right. MO2 is right. Opoku, Ware Secondary, 2 grams of a pure metal is heated in excess air to give a product believed to be the oxide and weighing 4.0 grams. If 10% of this mass is found to be an impurity, what is the percentage oxygen in the oxide?
40%.
Not 40%. Don't round off figures for me, please. I want the real thing. Yes, Vincent.
40.5%.
Not 40.5%. For a bonus, Tamale Secondary, Hamza.
39.5%.
No, it is 44.4%. 44.4%. There's a common preamble. An athlete runs 100 meters on a straight track in 10 seconds and walks back along the track in 40 seconds. Tamale Secondary, what is his average velocity for the entire motion? Average velocity. Hamza.
3.3 meters per second.
No. Yes, Osman.
3.5 meters per second.
That is not correct. You have one last chance before the bell. Hamza.
2 meters per second.
It is not 2 meters per second. Paul, for a bonus.
4 meters per second.
Oh, no, no, no. The answer is 0 meters per second. The man walked somewhere and walked back. His average velocity is his change in displacement over total time. Displacement is 0. So it is 0 meters per second. Now your question, Opoku Ware. What is his average speed for the entire motion? Yes, Paul.
4 meters per second.
And that is correct. Your question, Tamale Secondary, give me 3 functions of plasma protein. Majid.
They contain the fibrinogen, which help in the clotting of blood.
Yes.
Also, they also secrete enzymes that help in catalyzing reactions.
I'm listening.
And also they prevent infections that, germs that fight germs that enter the body.
They fight germs that enter the body. I'll give you 2 out of 3. They play a role in blood clotting, that's fibrinogen. They prevent the loss of fluid by osmosis and thus help to maintain blood volume. They act as antibodies, that is what you said, fighting against germs. They are used for transporting ions and insoluble materials, and they serve a nutritive function during starvation. Your question, Opoku Ware Secondary, give me 3 causes of chlorosis. Vincent.
Mineral deficiency and old age.
Old age.
Senescence.
I'll take that. I'll take that. It's not here, but it makes sense. The others are infection and genetics, okay? Your question, there's a preamble first. The radius of a spherical ball is increasing at a constant rate of 0.02 centimeter per second. 0.02 centimeter per second. Tamale Secondary, find the rate of increase of the surface area of the sphere when the radius is 100 centimeters. Leave answer in pi. Hamza.
15 pi centimeters squared per second.
That is correct. Opoku Ware Secondary, find the rate of increase of the volume of the sphere when the radius is 100 centimeters. Leave answer in pi. Aubrey.
8 pi centimeter cube per second.
Not 8 pi, not 8 pi. Yes, Vincent.
8,000 pi centimeter
Not
cube.
8,000.
800 pi.
800 pi centimeter cube per second. There is a common preamble. Nitrogen 2 oxide combines with oxygen spontaneously to give nitrogen 4 oxide. According to the equation, 2NO plus O2 goes to 2NO2. Tamale Secondary, derive the expression for Kp of the system at equilibrium in terms of partial pressures. In terms of partial pressures. Osman.
Kp equals partial pressure of NO2 squared all over the partial pressure of NO squared times the partial pressure of O2.
That is correct. That is correct. Opoku Ware Secondary derived the relationship between KP and KC of the system at equilibrium. Aubrey.
KP is equal to KC over RT.
That is correct. That is correct. And on that note, we come to the end of round 4. Viewers, at the end of round 4, our Opoku Ware friends are still on the run. Tamale Secondary has 59 points. Opoku Ware Secondary has 76 points. We're moving on to round 5. Could this be the turning point? Well, we'll see in quite a bit. Good luck to both schools. I'll be reading the clues to some riddles, and you are competing to be the first to solve the riddles. When you're ready to solve the riddle, you call my attention by ringing the bells in front of you. Shall we hear the bell from Tamale Secondary? Let's hear the bell from Opoku Ware. All right. If you solve a riddle on the first clue, you gain 5 points. If you solve it on a second clue, you gain 4 points. On any other number of clues a riddle solved is worth 3 points. The first riddle. I am a process that the average chemistry student hates. Why they hate me is a mystery to me, because my products are so beautiful. If you expect me to give you beautiful products, then you should treat me with care and finesse. Majid.
Crystallization.
Crystallization. Let's take the second riddle. I am a good friend of pilots, drivers, and riders. At the sound of my name, businessmen become alert. I love curves and circles. I also love angles, but I tolerate only small ones. Who rang the bell? Vincent?
Degrees.
No, no, no. I've already read this, I guess. I also love angles, but I tolerate only small ones. I am an engineering design meant for safety purposes. You will know my importance if you try driving your vehicle at high speed around a bend. Who am I? Who am I? Hamza.
Banking.
Banking is... Let's take the third riddle. Let's take the third riddle. I am a line segment. I am also a statistical average. However, I have no mean streak. In a triangle, I link a vertex to the opposite side. Paul?
Median.
Median is correct. Let's take the last riddle. I'm a structure associated with mammals and carpenters. I am also a term often used to describe the arrest of a criminal by the police. The fairer sex is in love with me. Vincent?
Nail.
Nail is correct. Is correct. Nail is correct, and Vincent gets 4 points for that effort. You get 4 points because it was on the second clue. I hadn't finished reading the third clue. Let's move on to the second part of round 5. In this part, you're to state whether the statements I make are true or false. You have 10 seconds within which to do that. You gain 2 points for a correct answer, a penalty of -1 for a wrong answer. Your statement, Opoku Ware. The most abundant RNA in the cell is the transfer RNA. Aubrey?
False.
That is correct. Tamale Secondary, in the region of elongation of the root, the cells divide continuously. Hamza?
False.
That is correct. Opoku Ware, if two circles touch, the point of contact lies between the centers of the circles. Paul?
It's true.
I'm sorry, Paul. It is false. Try drawing a circle where you have the other touching internally. You see it's false? Your statement, Tamale Secondary. Hydrogen gas gives a pop with a glowing splint. Osman?
It's true.
That is correct. Opoku Ware, if all the icebergs in the sea were to melt, the sea would overflow its boundaries. You have 10 seconds, Paul.
It's true.
Oh, it's false. It is false. You see, if all the icebergs in the sea were to melt, the sea would not overflow its boundaries because the icebergs are already displacing a volume of water equal to their weight. So if they melt, it will still be the same. Tamale Secondary, a chemical balance works on the principle of moment. Osman?
False.
Osman, that is true. I'm sorry. Opoku Ware Secondary, pipettes are used to deliver accurate volume. Pipettes are used to deliver accurate volume. Vincent?
True.
That is correct. Tamale Secondary, the exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of two interior angles. Two interior angles. Hamza?
False.
That is correct. That is correct. Opoku Ware, the temperature at which pure ice melts at standard atmospheric pressure is called the zero point. Paul? That is correct. The ashes of plantain, the ashes of plantain peels contain sodium oxide. Hamza? Yes, Osman?
False.
That is correct. That is correct. Your statement, Opoku Ware, matrix multiplication is associative. Paul?
It's true.
That is correct. Tamale Secondary, temperature is a measure of the average kinetic energy of the molecules of a substance. Hamza?
True.
That is correct. Opoku Ware, potable water is chlorinated so as to deodorize it. Vincent?
False.
Correct. Tamale Secondary, matrix multiplication is commutative. Osman?
False.
That is correct. Your last statement, Opoku Ware Secondary, cardiac muscle does not need nervous stimulation for it to contract. Aubrey?
It's true.
That is correct. Your last statement, Tamale Secondary, the jugular vein can be found in the neck. Osman?
It's true.
That is correct. And on that note, we come to the end of round 5. At the end of 5 rounds of exciting competition, here are the scores. Tamale Secondary has 78 points. Opoku Ware Secondary has 93 points. Thank you very much, Tamale Secondary, for that. You were impressive, but As I keep saying, we can only have one winner, and of course, the better side won. Congratulations. Okay.
SP.
SP is correct. Now the last two questions for round one. Opoku Ware, what is the common name for Azadirachta indica? Aubrey.
Neem.
Neem is correct. Presec Legon, what is the common name for Elias guineensis? Chief.
Oil palm.
Oil palm is correct. And that brings us to the end of round one. At the end of the round, Presec School has 21 points. Opoku Ware Secondary has 25 points. Contestants, if you continue like this, I have very little work to do. Keep it up. Let's move on to round two, the applied science round. You have 15 seconds within which to give me an answer in this round. A correct answer earns you 3 points, that is if it's to a major question, and you earn 1 point if it's to a minor question. We'll start with you, Presec. Oxygen and nitrogen are the two major constituents of air. Name 3 other gases present in ordinary air. Yes, okay.
Carbon dioxide, water vapor, and inert gases or argon.
That is correct. That is correct. Opoku Ware, how will you prove to a 6-year-old child that ordinary air contains water vapor? Yes, Paul.
You expose a deliquescent substance to the atmosphere, and the deliquescent substance will absorb water vapor and then dissolve.
That is all right. That is all right. You could also bring a cold object out of the fridge and watch water condense on it. That could be another thing. Your question, Presec Legon. All living organisms respire, but not all living organisms breathe. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Explain your answer. Okay.
This is true because some of them, example insects, they use spiracles in their respiratory process, but others like mammals, they breathe in the air, and thus they go through the process of respiration by taking in oxygen from the outside by breathing.
I'll give you the mark. I'll give you the mark. Yes, we all respire, but like you said, mammals and some animals, they have lungs. When you have lungs, then you breathe. But there are many other ways of taking in oxygen that doesn't use lungs. Opoku Ware, your question. A cell containing 17 chromosomes is more likely to come from ovarian tissue than connective tissue. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Explain your answer. "17 chromosomes." Yes, Vincent.
I agree because ovarian tissues refer to the reproductive cells or the gonads. Hence, there's a high probability for there to be an extra chromosome for the gonads or the sexual organs or the gametes. Because the connective tissues are also somatic or body cells. And because of that, they have the
Aubrey, do you want to add to that quickly? Yes, I'm listening.
The human being is supposed to have 46 chromosomes, which means that there should be 13 pairs each of chromosomes. So if it has 17 chromosomes, I do not agree that it's going to be an ovarian chromosome because the gametes contain 13 chromosomes instead of 17 chromosomes.
No, and you made it worse. He said he agrees and he was trying to explain. No, Vincent agreed and he was trying to explain. I just wanted the explanation to be better. All right, I'll give you one and I'll explain why. You mentioned that the ovarian are the reproductive cells and the connective tissues are somatic cells. And what does that mean? If you have reproductive cells, they should have a haploid number, which when joined together, when they fuse, will give you the diploid number. The diploid number is supposed to be even, and the haploid number is supposed to be odd. So if you have an odd number of chromosomes, it's more likely to be from a reproductive cell and not what somatic cell. So I'll give you one. It was there, but it just wasn't coming out right. Presec your question. And there's a preamble, please, there's a preamble. 10 pieces of paper are marked 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10. So you have 10 pieces of paper, right? They are marked 1, 2, 3, straight up to 10, respectively. And they are put in a box. 2 pieces are randomly selected from the box without replacement. Presec, find the probability that both papers have even numbers on them. Fin.
2/9.
2/9 is correct. Opoku, Ware, find the probability that one paper has an even number and the other an odd number. Yes, Vincent.
1/9.
Not 1/9. Paul?
5/9.
5/9 is correct. Presec, explain what happens when a converging lens is used to focus sunlight onto a piece of paper. Fin.
Okay, the piece of paper might bend, and this is because the converging lens will concentrate the light to a particular point on a piece of paper. Therefore, the intensity of the light on the paper will be very strong, and much heat will be produced, and this can bend
That is correct. Opoku, Ware secondary. If you were to use a converging lens and sunlight to ignite a piece of paper, which one could be ignited more quickly, a white paper or a black paper, and why? Vincent.
The black paper. Black paper. This is because black objects absorb radiation to a higher degree than white materials, and therefore when the converging lens is used to concentrate the rays of sunlight on the black paper, the black one is going to absorb more of the radiation and hence burn faster.
When you say it will absorb more of the radiation, exactly what do you mean?
I mean the radiation which contains heat, so absorb more of the heat.
2 out of 3. Both the white and the black light will absorb the infrared, okay? The white will reflect the visible spectrum, the radiation from the visible spectrum, whilst the black will absorb the radiation from the visible spectrum, in addition to the infrared. So in the end, it has more heat than the white paper. Your question, Presec. Is pure water a good or poor conductor of electricity? Give a reason for your answer.
Pure water ionizes slightly to produce few conducting ions in solution, so that like the number of ions per dm cube in the solution.
I'll give you 2. Simply pure water. Simply, pure water is a covalent compound. Covalent compounds are known to be poor conductors, all right? Opoku, Ware, pure water is a poor conductor of electricity, and yet we are advised not to touch electrical installations or handle appliances with wet hands. Why? Vincent.
Because the electricity is able to ionize the covalent bonds within the water to produce ions, and the movement of these ions can constitute transfer of electricity.
That's not true, Paul.
The pure water can conduct water to some extent, even though it is a poor conductor. Therefore, when you touch the electrical appliance with your hand,
That's not what I want. Aubrey, last chance.
Pure water is a good electrical conductor. So when it's in contact with the electric current, it's able to, transfer some of the current. So if you will...
I'll pass it on for a bonus.
Okay, your hand might contain some impurities, and these impurities will help the water to dissociate well to produce ions. And these ions can be conducted through your body, and therefore...
And that is correct. You know, water is a poor conductor, but it's a good solvent. So whatever water you have in your hand may dissolve any impurities that may be electrolytes. Like if you have sweat, it contains sodium chloride. So that will cause it to conduct electricity. Reset your major question. Explain how a person is able to determine the direction from which a sound comes. Yes, Chief.
both the human being has 2 ears, and then the intensity of the sound in either ear, if the sound is coming from his right, the intensity of the sound in his right ear will be greater than in the left ear, so you can conclude that the sound is coming from his right side.
That is one, and the other?
The brain was neutral.
2 out of 3. And there's also a time lag between the entry into one ear and the entry into another ear. If it's coming from this direction, you get the sound faster than when it gets to the other ear. Your question, Opoku Ware. The 3 semicircular canals in the ear are arranged at right angles to each other. What do you think is the physiological importance of this? Paul?
This provides sensitivity to movement in any of the 3 planes.
That is correct. Prisek Legon, your question. Is it possible to have total internal reflection when light in air is incident on water? Explain. Finn?
No. This is because for total internal reflection to occur, the light has to be traveling from a more optically dense medium into a less optically dense medium.
And that is correct. Opoku Ware. A prism can be used to separate white light into a spectrum of colors. Could another prism be used to recombine the spectrum of colors into white light? Explain. Aubrey?
Yes, another prism can be used. That is when similar prism is inverted and placed near the one which is dispersing it is going to recombine the colors.
And that is correct. Oh, yours, Prisek Legon. A sphere of radius 3 centimeters is gently dropped into water contained in a cylindrical vessel of radius 6 centimeters. If the sphere is completely submerged, find the rising level of the water in the vessel. Okay.
36 pi centimeter cube.
Not 36 pi centimeter cube. Watch it. We want the rise in level of the water. Yes, Finn?
1 centimeter.
1 centimeter. Opoku Ware Secondary. A cone of height 6 centimeters and base radius 3 gently into water in a cylindrical container of radius 6 centimeters. If the cone is completely submerged, find the rise in the water level in the cylindrical container. Aubrey?
6 centimeters.
That's not correct. Paul?
Half centimeter.
Half centimeter is... And so we come to the end of round 2. At the end of the round, here are the scores. Opoku Ware Secondary has 43 points. Prisek School has 44 points. Viewers, it's not the time for betting. Anything can happen in this contest. Good luck to both schools. We'll move on to round 3. You have 3 minutes within which to solve the same problem. Please turn over the sheets you have before you and I'll read the problem of the day. MnO4 minus is reduced by Fe2 plus in acid according to the balanced equation below. MnO4 minus plus 5Fe2 plus 8H plus goes to Mn2 plus 5Fe3 plus 4H2O. What volume of 0.04 mole per dm cubed solution of KMnO4 will be required to react with 25 centimeter cube of 0.1 mole per dm cubed of Fe2 plus solution in the presence of excess acid? That is 1. 2. if the ideal amount of H plus to ensure 100% reaction is 3 times the stoichiometric amount of the acid, what minimum volume of 0.5 mole per dm cubed of H2SO4 should be added in the above titration? And that, viewers, is the problem of the day. Welcome back, viewers. A contestant from each school will now go to the board to present their school solution to the problem of the day. Thank you, contestants. Let's quickly run through what I have, and then I'll see what marks to award to both schools. As a teacher of mine used to say, the understanding of the question is part of the answer. We have been given a balanced equation, and in the first instance, we want to find what volume of a certain concentration of KMNO4 will be required to react with 25 centimeter cubed of 0.1 mole dm cubed of Fe2 plus solution. Now from that we go to the next question, which says if the ideal amount of hydrogen ion to ensure 100% reaction is 3 times the stoichiometric amount of the acid, what minimum volume of 0.5 mole dm cubed of H2SO4 should be added in the above titration? What you have to ask yourself is, what titration are we talking about? It's a titration of MnO4 with Fe2 plus, and the hydrogen ions are just added to aid the titration. So MnO4 minus is your acid in this titration, and Fe2 plus is your base in this titration, and the hydrogen ions are just to aid the titration. Now let's go through our solution. In the first instance, we say 25 times 0.1 divided by V times 0.04 should be equal to 5/1, where V is the volume of KMNO4 required. So V is 25 times 0.1 divided by 5 times 0.04, which should give you 12.5 centimeter cubed, or 0.125 dm cubed, or something like that. Now, when we move on to the next stage, you've found out that you need 12.5 centimeter cubed of KMNO4 to titrate against 25 centimeter cubed of your Fe2 plus. So you ask yourself, how many millimoles of KMNO4 do I have? And you have 12.5 times 0.04. So in effect, you have 0.500 millimoles of KMNO4 in this titration. The ideal amount of excess hydrogen ions you need to aid the titration is 3 times the millimoles of KMNO4 available. So it should be 3 times 0.500, which is 1.5 millimoles. But 0.5 mole per dm cubed H2SO4 is equivalent to 1.0 mole per dm cubed of H plus ions. So we say let V be the volume of H2SO4 to be added. Then V times 1.0 should be equal to 1.5 millimoles. And therefore V is 1.5 over 1.0. And the volume of H2SO4 to be added should be 1.5 centimeter cubed. So that is what we were expecting from our contestants. Let's take a look at the solution from Opoku Ware. Opoku Ware calculated the volume of KMNO4 required, which is 12.5 centimeter cubed, and that was right. Beyond that point, everything else was wrong. Because the question wasn't understood. And for that, I give them 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. Now let's take a look at the solution from Presec. Again, they calculated V of KMNO4. But I'm now thinking, what is 12.5 centimeter cubed in dm cubed? It should be 0.0125 dm cubed and not 0.125 dm cubed. So they went through the calculation for that but got a wrong answer. And everything else was wrong. And for that effort, I give them 3 out of 10. Viewers, I guess that means we are back on level playing field. And it's anybody's call. Let's move on to round 4. Most of the questions in this round involve calculation. You will therefore have 30 seconds within which to give me an answer. In cases where questions do not involve calculation, you have 15 seconds within which to give me an answer. Good luck to both schools. Your question, Opoku Ware. Amphibians are supposed to have evolved from fish. Give me 3 pieces of evidence that support this. Paul.
The aquatic larvae of amphibians possess gills. Then in the embryonic stage, the amphibian's embryo just looks like that of a fish. And there are also the presence of certain homologous structures such as the fins, which represent the
1 out of 3. 1 out of 3. Because you're right, their larvae are aquatic and have gills. That was the only right thing I heard from you. The others are amphibians, can live in and out of water. And fish live in water. And of course, amphibians breed in water. Okay? Your question, Presec Legon. Birds are supposed to have evolved from reptiles. Give me 3 features in reptiles that have been retained in birds. Chief.
Both reptiles and birds lay eggs covered with shells. That's cladoid eggs. And then they also have, reptiles have scales on their body, and then birds also have some scales on their feet. And also, reptiles also have lungs, and birds also have lungs.
No, I'll give you 2 out of 3. You mentioned the scales in reptiles that are retained on the hind limbs of the birds. You mentioned the eggs with shells, and also reptiles and birds demonstrate what we call internal fertilization, okay? They all fertilize their eggs internally. Yes, Opoku Ware. Solve each equation for x and y. These are matrix equations. 3, 2, negative 2, 1 times xy equals 2, negative 6. Solve for x and y. Paul.
X is 2, y is minus 2.
That is correct. 5 minus 4, 1 minus 3 times xy equals minus 3 minus 5.
is 2, and y is 13/4.
Okay. Again.
S is 1, y is 2.
That is correct. Opoku, what length of a resistance wire of diameter 0.3 millimeters and resistivity 1.1 times 10 to the minus 6 ohm meter will have a resistance of 14 ohms? Take pi to be 22/7. 14 ohms. Paul.
3.6 meters.
That's not true. Yes, Vincent.
36 meters.
That is not true. That is not true. Yes, Vincent.
0.36 meters.
Not 0.36 meters per sec. Finn.
9 times 10 to the power 6 millimeters.
No, it's 0.9. 0.9 meters. 0.9 meters. Opoku, your question. Oh no, Presec, your major question. The resistance of a wire of length 55 centimeters and diameter 0.07 centimeters is 10 ohms. Calculate the resistivity of the material of the wire. Take pi to be 22/7. Chief.
4 times 10 to the power minus 6.
Again.
4 times 10 to the power minus
Not
6.
4, not 4. Not 4. Yes, Finn.
5 times 10 to the power minus 4.
No. For a bonus, Opoku, Paul.
28 times 10 power minus 2.
Oh no. It's 7. 7 times 10 to the minus 6. 7 times 10 to the minus 6. Ohm meter. I guess when you're working under pressure, sometimes it doesn't help much. There's a common preamble to both schools. A vessel contains 4 gases, A, B, C, and D. If their partial pressures are 60, 45, 15, and 30 kilopascals respectively, Opoku, calculate the mole fraction of A. Paul.
2/5.
2/5.4, that's correct. Presec, calculate the combined or total mole fractions of C and D. The combined mole fraction of C and D. Finn.
0.3.
0.3. That is correct. Opoku, give me 2 examples of the role that osmosis plays in animals. Aubrey.
Absorption of water by the tubules of the kidney, and also the absorption of water by the small intestines of the body.
Absorption of water, is it by or from?
By the uniferous tubule, and then absorption of water from the small intestines by the body.
I'll give you the mark. So we have reabsorption of water from the proximal coagulated tubule and the collecting ducts of the kidneys, absorption of water from the large intestine, absorption of water from a freshwater environment into the body of some aquatic animals, and absorption of water from tissue fluid into blood at the venous end of capillaries. but we wanted just 2. Presec, give me 2 examples of the role that osmosis plays in plants. Chief.
Osmosis helps the plant to absorb water from the soil by the root hairs, and it also helps the stomata to absorb water from the surrounding cells and become it helps the gut cells to absorb water from the surrounding cells and become turgid, and then open to allow transpiration to.
I won't take the stomata part. I'll give you 2 out of 3. Absorption of water by the roots, we have the uptake of water by the cells of the xylem, and we have the imbibition of water by a seed for germination. Your question, Opoku Ware secondary. Find the values of x for which the given function has a maximum or minimum value and distinguish between them. And this goes to both schools. Find the values of x for which the given function has a maximum or a minimum value and distinguish between them. Opoku Ware, y equals 4x plus 1 over x. Vincent.
X is minus 2 for the maximum and plus 2 for the minimum.
That is not true.
X is plus 2 for the maximum and minus 2 for the minimum.
That is not true. You have one last chance. Yes, Aubrey.
X is plus 1 over 2 for the minimum and then minus 1 over 2 for the maximum.
Minus 1 over 2 for the
maximum.
And that is correct. Presec, y equals x cubed minus 3x. X cubed minus 3x. Yes, okay.
S is equal to 1 for the minimum and S is equal to minus 1 for the maximum.
And that is correct. Please listen to this preamble. 200 centimeter cubed of 0.5 mole per dm cubed HCl are added to 300 cm cubed of 0.2 mole per dm cubed of NaOH. Opoku Ware secondary, calculate the concentration of chloride ions in the mixture. Paul.
0.2 mole.
That is correct. Presec, determine which of the two, HCl or NaOH, will be in excess and calculate its concentration in the new